today, we're diving into a really fascinating problem. How do leaderless organizations, these huge online communities called DAOs, actually get anything done once they get big? It's a huge challenge, and the solutions they're finding are pretty much reshaping the future of collaboration. So let's just jump right into it. This is the central question for any DAO that's growing. You start out with this really cool dream of a flat, totally democratic organization. But then thousands of people join, and that dream can pretty quickly turn into a coronation nightmare. And that brings us to what's known as the DAO scaling problem. The very thing that makes a small DAO so great, its agility, its open community, well, that becomes its biggest weakness when it grows. What was once quick and nimble just turns into pure chaos. Now, for anyone who's a bit new to this, let's do a quick recap. A DAO, a Decentralized Autonomous Organization, is basically an organization run by its community members. There's no CEO, no managers, no board of directors. Every single big decision gets put to a community vote. And this slide, this breaks down that chaos perfectly. I mean, just imagine trying to get thousands of people to agree on every little detail. Decision-making just grinds to a halt. People stop voting because it's just too overwhelming. New people who want to contribute feel totally lost. Communication is all over the place, and nobody really knows who's supposed to be doing what. It's a mess.
So how do you fix this? Well, let's get into the first major solution that's popping up everywhere, the Sub-DAO. The whole idea here is to bring some order back by creating smaller, more specialized and kind of independent units inside the bigger organization.
A sub-DAO is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's like a mini DAO that operates inside the main one. It gets its own mission, its own team, its own budget, and, this is key, the power to make its own decisions, all focused on one specific area. The easiest way to get your head around it is to think of a sub-DAO like a specialized department in a traditional company. You got the marketing department, the engineering department, community management. They all have their own goals and can get stuff done without needing the entire company to vote on every single thing. And this is exactly why they work so well. First, they let you specialize, so teams can really focus and get good at one thing. Second, they distribute all that responsibility, so the main DAO doesn't become this massive bottleneck. And finally, because these groups are small and focused, they can just execute so much faster.
But here's the thing, a formal, permanent department isn't always what you need. So that brings us to the second solution we're seeing, working groups. These are way more flexible, more task-oriented teams.
A working group is usually a less formal team that just comes together for a specific purpose. It's all about getting something done. Like, say you need to launch a new feature. You just spin up a working group with the right developers, designers, and marketers to make it happen. Right, so if sub-DAOs are like the permanent departments, you can think of working groups as the agile project teams. They can be temporary, just lasting for the life of a project, or they can stick around to handle ongoing tasks. They're also a great way for new people to just jump in and start contributing right away. This little chart here is perfect for seeing the difference at a glance. Sub-DAOs, more formal, more permanent, and really focused on governing a whole area. Working groups, way less formal, can be temporary, and they are laser-focused on just getting specific tasks done. Honestly, you probably need both to really scale effectively. Okay, so you've set up all these smaller teams. Fantastic. But that creates a brand new challenge. How do you govern them all? You've got to find that perfect sweet spot between giving them freedom to move fast and holding them accountable to the main DAO's overall mission. And this quote from the source material just says it all. Without clear rules, decentralization doesn't lead to freedom. It leads right back to chaos. You absolutely need a framework to keep everyone aligned and pulling in the same direction. So how do you get that balance? Well, good governance really comes down to a few key things. You need crystal clear guidelines, kind of like a constitution, that defines who has authority over what. You need total transparency so anyone can see what a subgroup is up to. And you still need voting for the really big decisions to make sure these smaller groups are always accountable to the whole community. Now, these structures are super powerful, but let's be real, they're not a magic wand. It is so important to actually weigh the trade-offs, to understand both the amazing benefits and the very real risks that come with this kind of model. This table lays it out pretty clearly. On the one hand, the benefits are huge. You get way more efficiency, better specialization, and the ability to actually scale. But the risks are also pretty serious. Your DAO could get fragmented, with each group acting like its own little kingdom. They could drift away from the core mission or even mismanage the money they're given.
And that brings us to the main takeaway here. It's all about balance. Success really requires putting checks and balances in place to manage those risks. But you have to do it in a way that doesn't completely kill the speed and autonomy that makes these substructures so effective in the first place. It's a tricky balancing act.
So, where's all this headed? When you put all these pieces together, you really start to see a clear picture of what the future of DAOs looks like, and it points to a major evolution in how we all collaborate online. The big prediction is that sub-DAOs and working groups, they aren't going to be some niche strategy for long. They're on track to become standard, essential building blocks for any serious decentralized organization that actually wants to grow and have a real impact. And of course, technology is evolving to meet this challenge. We're seeing better tools for automation and governance that will make coordinating these complex systems way more efficient, and that'll help reduce those risks of misalignment and fragmentation we were just talking about. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. If these models, breaking down huge complex problems into small, autonomous but aligned teams, if that can work for leaderless global organizations, could those same ideas one day redefine collaboration for all of us in all kinds of companies and communities? It's a pretty fascinating question to think about. Thanks for tuning in.